Hello, everyone. I think we're live. Yes, as a matter of fact, we are. And no better way to start Monday than having another stream. Hope everyone had a great weekend and joined by Alex. I think there's no better way, I think, at this point to start these sessions. And today's session will be a little different. I would say more conversational than and less product focused. We'll still sort of sprinkle CreateOS in there, here and there, but I would say today's session is particularly important given the times that we're living in. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty for new students and just young humans. And because we are living through, I would say, the most advanced times since ever, right? And with AI, and there being new updates on a weekly basis. Anthropic releasing, for example, a new feature or a new product which might potentially, what can I say? I wouldn't say debunk an entire sector, but like throw a lot of disruption within a given vertical as a result of a simple release. So I think it's important to also look at the constructed side of things, which is what you can actually do with your time and the tools at your disposals and actually create opportunities for yourself. So Alex, you have plenty of experience, right, in general. So what would you like to start by sharing, right? You think it's more a time to be optimistic or a little bit more, I would say, I wouldn't say pessimistic, but realistic for young builders and ambitious minds out there?
Yeah, for sure. I am maxi, in a good way. So I think eventually the things are going to work out nicely, but I don't think that it's going to be straightforward, and I don't think that it is obvious with regards to the things that are going to get disrupted and why. So I have thoughts on this, and spoiler alert for everybody. I am with the yellow hat, which is my thinking hat today. I think that this is a hot topic for sure, and I think us as professionals that we are navigating this change now live, especially in marketing, but it is in general for the business side. I will not comment too much on the developer side because I'm sure there is a parallel conversation to be had at, for those that are coding and developing products, because that is like a separate conversation to be had. So I'm looking more at my experience, my expertise, my insights are more on the business side of disruption through AI. I think we are navigating this live. I'm taking notes because I think we have a duty for, the younger, students that are just wrapping up or that they are just, starting up their journey on their professional careers to just take notes and pass on what are our learnings. It's a duty for me that we do this so that there is collective knowledge that can be benefited from those that don't have that direct exposure yet, but the disruption is going to be really massive. So whatever I think career has been in progressive terms so far, that is changing drastically and very quickly. So, by the way, I don't know to what extent, even you, Eric, I don't think to what extent you know, but I have been in career advice and education management in my early days prior to being in.
Wow,
Yes, I'm actually
I wasn't even aware.
yeah, I'm actually a career counselor. I actually have like a proper qualification to do that. And I was managing very, very large contracts in the UK from the European Social Fund and from the UK to help young people into apprenticeships and then people who were happening to be unemployed to just get back on track. And so I do have strong feelings about what is going on. And we we can discuss a lot of things, and but overall I am very positive. I think life is bright. We just need to make it so.
I could not agree more, and I think it's a important to be surrounded by profiles such as yours and with such constructive mindsets. Because I mean, at the end of the day, why else will we wake up in the morning? You know what I mean? Otherwise, I just drink vodka and smoke Marlboro Reds if I thought that the world was gonna end, and just embrace the inevitable. But I don't think it's that at all. Actually, I think it's quite the opposite. So it's a breath of fresh air to hear from you. But I think it's important to have these sometimes really like, I wouldn't say hurtful, but like, you know what I mean, real conversations, right? Because it's not all
Yeah.
um, rainbows and unicorns and roses, right? Like there's bound to be disruption, but I would say there's been disruption throughout history when it comes to workforce, right? If you actually look at some of the biggest developments, not even technology wise, but sort of just like society wide, the invention of the steam engine, agriculture, like those have compelled, I would say, the human workforce to evolve and develop. And there's been a skill, what can I say, relocation or maybe rearrangement. I don't know, maybe given your past, you can lend me a better term. But I would say right now through AI, it's just a lot more in our faces, right? Because, and social media, right? Because it's very intense, right? Communication is, I would say, before was an issue, now is almost overwhelming. I think it's not healthy for a lot of us to consume such volume of information at the rate that we do. So it's not very easy, I would say, in this day and age to think clearly and strategically, right? When it comes to making important decisions about what to build, when, and to set yourself up for something good that might happen down the line for you in a year or two. So I would say we've never had better access to infrastructure and tooling for young people to set themselves up for such opportunities. But I would say there's also the risk of, you know, being flooded with this sort of anxiety arising as a result of this.
Okay, no
Just
anxiety. We're just gonna go and like
exactly,
the only cure to anxiety that I know is doing, like planning and
exactly
then executing. That's it.
action.
Like we're not gonna overthink it. So look at what we have with CreateOS. So CreateOS is a platform where you can come very easily. It doesn't matter that you have 50 years of experience building products or that's your very first time. Your idea is as valuable. Doesn't matter. Then how you go about executing, that is where there is the difference in experience that will be measured. Like how do you tackle what you're doing, and then the machine will execute what you input into it, right? There may be some, I don't know, free wisdom that will come accidentally to you from the machine. You're like, oh, okay, I learned something new. But overall, like input is output. So if you're a student, if you're like just coming up into a career path, chances are, first of all, that you have inherently you have a fresh eye over life, over business, over things. So your starting point by default is very valuable to everybody in society. So never be shy to express your think and to verbalize to others what you see as problems. Chances are you see a problem, a gap, and that is valuable because you may be the only one who has that insight. And now you have the tools at your disposal immediately to tackle it. So that is revolutionary. Like you come, you say, hey, I am a student. And we've seen it with a lot of the challenges that we've built or the hackathons. So many, young new careers have, interacted with us. It's been just a month. I can't believe that it's only been a month that CreateOS is out, but actually it is. But we've spoken with so many people. When you see a problem, you think about it, you get AI's help to formalize it, then you come into CreateOS and you tackle it immediately. Now that used to be, first of all, if you were a non-technical founder, you already were at a big disadvantage. So having and coming from
That's
a
right.
technical background was a must, especially early in career. You could catch up eventually if you were, I don't know, 15, 20 years into your career. That I don't think that edge was that important, but right off, like your early 20s, either you can code and you can build, used to be, or you're cut out. Like you have to find a technical founder, co-founder. Now that is removed. So all of those that are able to see non-technical problems, so life, business problems, everyday lives problems, societal problems, then you can execute without a technical counterpart with you at least until you're able to get something off the ground, and then just test it. So getting from zero to MVP has never been easier. So that is like absolutely exciting. So I can't wait to see all our universities to be incubators of disruption in this way. And with a tool like CreateOS, everybody can just cause trouble in a good way. I think society should always be in a state of disruption, because otherwise we're going to be stale, and then incumbents are just going to be overpowering to what is a fluid you know, sense of life. So as a whole, I believe that everybody will have better chances to express their individual point of view over what needs to be fixed and have the potential to actually execute on it. That is like an upstream change that is incredibly exciting. And you can do it between, old and young, or, male, female, or north and south, or rich and poor, doesn't matter. The power imbalances over who has now access to the resources to express an ability to solve problems, that is now leveling up. So to me, that's very exciting. Does it make sense
I
to you,
agree.
Eric?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot there. I would say um, the more you think about, like, history always repeats itself, right? I think there is, and not just because a new technology is here that won't occur. We're still at the driver's seat, so we're, I would say, predictable creatures, right? Because that's just the way we're wired. But I would say we just have better instruments right now, right, to create more interesting times. So um, there's a parallel, I would say, right now with some of the revolutions that have occurred in the past. They actually always stem from universities, right, and sort of where people gather, because that's just
Yeah.
where there is the highest degree of and the highest concentration, I think is a better term, of exchanges of ideas and new conversations being held between young, hungry intellectual individuals who come together and think, oh, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? I've had this other idea, and then I think it creates such a powerful current and momentum where right now you just need to be surrounded, I think, by such individuals, and it's become ever more ubiquitous and democratic with this tooling that is just all you need right now. Basically, is just an internet connection, and you're able to converse with anyone out there
Even on mobile,
in the
like
ether.
even,
Exactly,
yeah, even with CreateOS, like we were getting that feedback right very early on,
exactly.
and that was actually coming from students primarily, right? They're like, hey, give me, like, I am on a mobile all the time, otherwise I am in lectures at home. Like I cannot do that, right? So give me access to disruptive technology or my mobile in my pocket, and we did that.
I agree,
So
and I think the point is that universities will be the hubs, in my opinion, and
mm,
they will be looked at not as only the, what can I say, the nurturing layer where the young minds are, I wouldn't say molded, but taught and uh, told essentially what works, what doesn't, and essentially where they will grow. But I think employers and just in general projects and businesses will look at students and just young individuals in general as way more savvy members of our society, right? And I think that's an interesting paradigm shift. And you can see this also with new roles being created. I'm sure you can testify to this across Meta, Google with Gemini, Anthropic with, they actually are creating full-time roles for. Um, of course, it changes the name of the position, but essentially the essence of it is that sort of like university ambassadors in a way, but they're not really ambassadors. So essentially,
mm,
folks who would be onboarded
no,
to
yeah, like,
be
so at Google,
yeah,
yeah,
to
so
be the
for Google
liaison between the
itself,
company and the university,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so Google has actually, speaking as a Zoogler, as an ex-Googler, the structure of the outreach to schools was very, very well made. That traditionally have always been really, really good at it. So there are called Google developer groups, that has been like one infrastructure. So I don't know if you're all familiar, but Google developer groups in general, they've been like very, very prominent everywhere. Community led, how they were managed internally was also very different from any type of other marketing. It was not considered marketing at all. It was like the good friend Janice, who was managing them for APAC, she was fiercely protective. None of the salespeople could ever reach out. Like she was literally body slamming anybody
That's
who would
amazing.
try and poison the well. Yes, because they do see that the type of duty that technology companies have towards educating and developing the new talent is absolutely fundamental to society. So the Google student developer groups were a subset, and they were very well nurtured overall. I think overall there are two quick reflection over what you say. One, and I want to hear what you think, because one is obvious, one I don't think it's that obvious. One that is obvious is that to me, um, even the power imbalance between certain type of Ivy League universities and other universities, including in geography, is also shifting very, very quickly, because certain type of universities were a pipeline of supportive system. Let's call it this way. I'm going to be very, very polite how I try to frame it, right? But the intake was curated. Then the type of environment was self-curating in many ways, and then the output was that it was so powerful to be in those circles, because then the output was also a privileged pathway to access to networks, right? So it was a self-contained ecosystem. There was a hard ceiling for many, either because of financial reasons or because
Right.
of personal network access.
Right.
So there was a traditional pipeline for tech companies to hire, tech companies and VCs to find talent and then invest, early entrepreneurs to find co-founders. There's always been like it's I mean, I'm saying nothing new, like everybody knows. But now with the advent of Gen AI assisted coding, AI assisted deployment, the power that everybody is having, to me, that means that every university is going to become that hub. Like, because you don't need VC money anymore that much or as much as you needed it before. Like, you may still need certain type of access to introductions to investors and network and so on for certain type of applications and products and companies. For many others, you don't. You just need access to the right tools, the internet, of course, that is like a human right, arguably. I think many countries are moving to actually ratify that as a human right, and then access to the knowledge and the skill set to just test it out and do so. I do see, and I don't know if you see it in the same way, Eric, but I do believe that there is the biggest disruption is going to be over the education system in the like distribution of concentration of power for the universities out there. What do you think?
No, it's for sure. I would say science. I'm not as politically correct as you, so I would say I'll try and be filtered, but a little bit in between, in the gray area. I would say there will still be. I come from a finance background, and I think that's probably the epitome of what you described in terms of, I would say, law, uh, finance are the two. I'd say medicine's a little different because you have some real lives on the line, and so it does rest on merit and actual knowledge. Not that it doesn't do. Not that it's not the case also in finance and law, right? But I would say I could speak to finance where there was a path made in a way, in the sense that if you got into the right university and attended the right course and got the right the right grades, and you ensured that you ticked all the boxes so that X, Y, and Z asset manager or X, Y, and Z bank would look at you in the right way, then you would have higher chances of getting into these important institutions and have a flourishing career, which is great, right? I would say as a career path, and by no means am I belittling or trying to undermine such path because it's extremely challenging, right? Like it's not for everyone, but um, there's a way of there's a degree of gatekeeping in a way by setting up such paths because that means that such institutions have only a certain amount of new hires per year. They will be looking at the same institutions that have provided the safe funnel for the past X amount of years. And as a result, as you mentioned, new universities won't have the same, or students from new universities won't. By new universities, I don't mean universities that were set up last year. I mean probably less famous ones, but that doesn't mean that they're not as valuable, right? And I don't think that's necessarily correct, even just from a logical sense, right? You might have a better student from an institution that is not as glamorous, right? And probably that would be a better person for the job than someone who ticks all the boxes and then might show on the job and not be as, what can I say, competent, so dynamic, flexible. So I would say by having a level playing field, it's better for everyone. But I would say there's bound to be disruption. So that means I would say there's gonna be. We've talked about this. I think everyone is talking about it. I don't know how things will actually play out, to be honest with you, right? Because otherwise, me and you,
Mm.
our job will be a lot easier in terms of distribution. So I think it's easier now than ever to build, but it's harder than ever before to have your build make noise, right? Because it's
Mm.
difficult unless it's, you know what I mean,
But then you see, like,
something
so hear me out. I agree
extreme.
with you. I think it's a very valid point. But then I think also that we are used to a certain structure where the company that is valuable is a company that has been scaling to the point of like there is the myth of the unicorn, right? Everybody
Mm,
is chasing a type, but that's just a type of company. That's the type of company that requires the VC money, right? And the VC money comes with an obligation to scale exponentially, move fast, break things, don't move together with regulation, but disrupt regulation, or just try and imprint society with, opaque, Silicon Valley led type of, ethics and so on. Doesn't matter, right? It's not a judgment in positive or in negative. It's very descriptive to me. This is very clear. So you are a successful entrepreneur if you can conceptualize and then execute the type of company that attracts a certain type of capital. And in order to attract that capital, the product itself must be with certain characteristics, which is the exponential growth and the global uniformity to cater for enough big markets, right? That is not, it's not like 100%, but I think it's a fair common thread. So my point, I think, is we don't need to equate being a successful entrepreneur with the model now because there are other options. Because now we can build in our, spare room, we literally can, to a point where VC money can still come as a choice at some point down the future, but the bootstrapping route is way more effective than has ever been before. I'm not saying there will not be a technical co-founder, not at all. There will always be good engineering, but the amount of scaling that small engineering team is able to deliver now without raising gazillion funds from a VC is great. That means that also the attachment to that money, which is to scale to a certain level with certain models, is also going to be disrupted. So if
right.
anything, I hope that with the new wave of the students that are now still figuring things out, there would be a desire to build, irrespective of what has been the traditional definition of success for what they are going to go and build. That is my biggest hope.
Yes,
You
but
see
I
what I
would
mean?
say, yeah, 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 yeah. I would say
Mhm.
it's definitely become more democratic, and in terms of access to building, and by there being just it's pretty logical, right? From a maths perspective, a higher number of participants, there will be a higher likelihood of there being killer products just because more people are building and there's more exchange of ideas and stuff like that. But as a result of having a larger pool with more people in it, it's harder to stand out. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So the what I think will, because look, the current means are the same, right? Like there's we wrangle with this on a daily basis, right? You have the usual suspects of distribution channels, so email, socials such as LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Insta, Product Hunt, and GitHub and stuff like that. But I would say everyone right now is sort of looking at the same lanes to speak and voice about their build, and more people doing the same, right? And it's just normal, right? And but it's difficult right now, right? Like it's difficult to stand out. It's difficult to not be forgotten very quickly, right? And
Yeah,
there is the
but I don't know
the
if
myth
you.
of
Yeah.
no,
Mm,
wait, because I think there's the myth of building in public. Building public is amazing, I would say, when you are, as you mentioned, the bootstrapping phase, when you need feedback, you need that harsh um, critic to come and tell you how things actually are and what they think. But then I would say when it's time to actually scale, then I think we don't know. I think that's a phase that's yet to be unknown, and I think there will be a new social that will spawn, or a new way to connect at that stage that will unlock that side of distribution in my mind.
yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. And but I also want to reframe slightly one of the points that you make, which is that it would be harder to get to be heard, right? And we feel it, right? We feel it. Like all the bots out there, kudos if any one of you, like, by the way, hello to everybody. I can see like, our chat is
Of
quite
course,
lively. Like we can see Twitch, hi Twitch community, hi X, hi YouTube. Hey YouTube folks, say hi. Put your comments, do write like we are live. Like I can see quite a few people in there that are just saying hello. Don't be shy, just make your voice heard. From my standpoint, it's going to be true, is going to be very much not so much a number game anymore. But if you see also the trends in terms of algos for amplification across all the social platforms, there is a decisive move to guard against artificial inflation of metrics through excessive automation. They are really trying to preserve or to refine once more the depth and the quality of engagement and conversation. So the building public, it's not so much the building public, but the fact that building public is by definition original content that is engaging, because has to do with someone showing the workings of their processes, their progress, their failure, I mean, in a honest and transparent way. For those that are succeeding, they're doing it with a degree of intellectual honesty, emotional honesty. And that is attracting attention. That is the refreshing bit. So I don't think that it's a cookie cutter to say, as long as I build in public, I'm fine. Let me program my open claw bot to pretend that I'm opening and to post twice a day, like a pre-programmed script of me pretending to be building public. That you may do that, but that in itself will not get you the type of engagement that you need to build a product that then gets customers, get users, because you will not get that conversation going in the right way. So in a way, it's refreshing, and it's also interesting to see how that's going to play out, because in that sense, we're all humans. We are not, we are, I think that the quality of our conversation will get better because of this. And not all the social media platforms will do well long term. Certain platforms will have to reinvent their own ability to get people express themselves, because they are all homogenizing, they're all
yeah,
finding the minimum denominator for the ads revenue. I don't know, like
Because
there's like a bit of cookie cutter kind of format. So yeah.
it's true what you say, but that there, if you take X as an example, right? It's, by the way, like, this is not a critique. Like, we're talking about a service that caters to, hundreds of millions of people, if not a billion plus. So kudos, right, to the service that's
Giving
provided,
us
and
IX.
yeah, exactly. Hi, Elon. It would be great to talk to you. But jokes aside, I think they don't really have it. What can I say? Um, Mapped out correctly. I would say 100% yet, right? So on one side, and that's not to say that they ever will, just because I don't know if there is a right or wrong recipe of approaching the AI advent. Just because you have on one side a need to gate excessive botting on your platforms by means of I don't know, avoiding bots interactions, or ensuring that your numbers are not so inflated. If you have users that just spawn up and they all of a sudden start following you, so that I like, right? So I think that's one aspect. The other aspect is, as you mentioned, an appreciation from from an algo standpoint for content that is human, so that prioritizes a human being there. So that means either an image, well, a GIF, or say like a video or a stream where there's actual humans chatting, right, and interacting with one another. And I'm sure that when the algorithm probably looks at our stream, we'll sort of have parameters in place to ascertain whether or not there are humans talking rather than having agents talking to one another. Which I hope, I don't know. I hope that's a late uh, day for me. But so you have these two ways, right? These two sides,
Mm.
and Grok is one way to filter through all the information that is on X, right? So that you have a live access to what is happening in the world. You can ask it anything if you see it, but so which is appreciative, because, for example, for us, it's extremely important to have an element of social listening where you're able to understand what is currently being talked about, what's viral, especially when it comes to AI and building, which has the highest rate of innovation and chatter across anything right now. That's one way. Then there's also the Reddit way, which I probably appreciate more, but as someone who might need another grok for Reddit, finds it a little bit painful. But I think that pain is necessary. Where if you had uh, an endogenous AI within Reddit, that you'd be able to ask it anything, filter through any subreddit, and pick me that hot post from March 2021 on that specific subreddit. I would say that would probably dilute and drain the quality of the conversation being had on Reddit, just because it's found as a safe haven for users now. So do you understand what I'm saying? I don't think there's a right or wrong there, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
And
just about
yeah,
getting your
I
build out
think
there.
maybe that taps also like going to a more like focused conversation on the student side. I think we're going to see this also when it comes to the recruitment pathway. I don't know if you started to see with apparently it is not for direct experience, but it looks like more companies are experimenting with AI-led interviews, AI-led technical interviews. I do feel for anybody who has to go through that, because whichever videos I've seen, it is so upsetting to me. It is such a vulnerable time for anybody, especially if someone is urgently looking for and
It's tough.
competing with so many thousands people, to end up not even having a human on the other side. That is to me heartbreaking. So I hope that the optimization doesn't cut out the human side, especially in this, and especially for students that are looking for internships. I know that there are very dedicated internships recruiters on the other side that are very, very skilled at understanding how to find a good fit for their companies. And I really wish for it to everybody who's looking for internships to only deal with such talented teams that are able to make it into a constructive experience rather than just an optimized process. From the point of view, it's optimized for what, right? You're always optimized for something. So it's only optimized from the side of the recruiter rather than for the human experience on the other side. So I've seen, and even there is another side reflection for me, which is that the soft skills that will be needed for anyone trying to have a good career in the new age that is opening up, the skill set and both hard skills and soft skills, I think they will evolve over time. And let me expand on what I mean by that. So when you are prompting, and I have no doubt that there would be a degree of requirements for everybody entering the workforce now to feel, to express confidence, and competence in using AI tools, right? So that is a given now, right? So the baseline is we're already past that, right? So you have to show that you can use them. But how you're prompting is a new set of skills, in my opinion. It's a specific. I am just kind of observing myself and catching myself on seeing when my prompts are good and when my prompts are bad, and plenty of bad prompts out there. I see that the ability to verbalize a process, that is when we are able to get something good out of AI. So as a soft skill, hugely underestimated in general in life. We've touched on it even last week. But for those that are entering the market, I don't think that people that, those that are on the recruitment side will demand that you are a super expert in your vertical or in your field. Even if it's horizontal, like you don't have to know everything about performance marketing if you are getting into internship for performance marketing, but your ability to reason through and being able to instruct an LLM over the process to execute what you need them to do, that would be a success or fail in your career. And I don't know precisely how someone can develop that skill from scratch, because I'm sure that everybody, at least for me, is tapping into their ability to visualize what they've done in the past for many, many years and extract that. There is no manual there. Yeah, am I making sense? You see
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to say.
For sure, for sure. It's actually a point that I wanted to make in the sense that um, soft skills, I think, will become ever more important as well because there's just gonna be more disruption. I think disruption will just not be called that anymore. I would say within tech in general, just because it will become the norm. So it might even become the norm for the average worker not to have a full time gig, but to have probably three concurrent part time gigs where that makes for the previous concept of full time, right? So, but that's just titles that we give to how you spend your time, which is what work is, right? So um, inevitably you will have to learn how to sell yourself, even if you are shy, timid, and introspect. It's just something that you're gonna have to do because there's more people. I wouldn't say less opportunities. There's gonna be novel opportunities, different ones, but by there being new ones, it's just gonna be a different game, right? So that's one, being able to talk, connect, sync with others, listen, make yourself heard without being rude, and try and be, what can I say, value adding whenever you're opening your mouth, as opposed to just not listening.
Are you ever rude with an LLM? Have you
Um,
ever been?
I get frustrated with LLMs just because which is also uh, a necessary constraint because they're not very opinionated, right? And thank God, but that they're not able to critique what I'm doing. So I was gonna come full circle with what you said. I think prompting is a necessary skill for sure, and but I also think you're right. I would say most companies don't know what they're looking for nowadays, because let's be honest, like you can't know when it's something so new. So they do their best of be as exhaustive as possible in their list of requirements, but they don't know much. If you're hiring at the cutting edge, you can't know what tomorrow's going to look like. So I think the best thing you can do is um, get someone who is hungry and capable, who's had, of course, some experience, uh, but that is able to be flexible and dynamic on a daily basis. I would say that's the most important thing because there's going to be new tools, but by the time, I mean, since me and you have been working together, gosh, how many tools there've been, and I think you just develop an aptitude to um, there being a new tool, and you just have a framework or mental structure in place where you're able to understand what could fit in where based on what I have to do on a daily basis, and just establish whether it could be useful or not. And if it isn't, just remove, right? Which is what we
Yeah,
covered in one of the pieces early on in terms of context switching. So
yeah.
there's going to be more
From my
tools, but I think
yeah,
attention is the currency, as always.
yeah. I would say I would strongly encourage everybody who is just starting up in their careers to, at a minimum, just try to build their own portfolio page or a personal page by coding it, and then use that as a way to show that they are fluent in the current discourse. So I, if I have a wish for everybody, is to just come on to CreateOS if you have need for additional resources. We're always very happy to support. So don't feel that you're on your own. We're there on Discord, or you can reach out to the team via email. Once you have your own account open, there is support within the product itself, or you can reach out on Telegram like we've done. We have so many and we are live. We're literally live, how many times a week? 3 4 times a week. We are
Cool.
we're monitoring the chat. So even technical support, just let us know. Maybe we can do something about it as well. But I strongly encourage every student to take some time to try CreateOS, build their own portfolio page, put it in the bank, show to prospective either internship, apprenticeships, or first jobs or placements, or even just other university professors, that they are able to take that initiative, able to structure and then execute using LLM a simple project and then express it in a way that it's helpful and directly creates value for themselves and for the other side. So strongly encourage it. Maybe we should do some step-by-step tutorial to just do that. Maybe that's something that we should bookmark so that all the students out there are not on by themselves and they can just test it out. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I think to wrap it up, I think what you build will be your CV. I think there's no such thing as well, it is currently valued, but I think it'll become probably I wouldn't say an obsolete concept, but maybe something. But by CV will mean what you are currently describing, which is a portfolio of your builds and what you've been able to create in your spare time, because it shows me essentially a that you're somewhat good or not at using the products for which uh, hiring you for, or at least have what can I say, an expectation that you're going to be able to use them during the day to day, and B, it shows that you're active, right, and hungry. So if you're out there looking for opportunities, just build away and learn, chat to others. There's no better time, I would say. It's difficult, but it's fun. I would say so long that you do things that are fun and that resonate with your interests. Don't do what others are telling you or what you think you should be doing to land the best opportunity. So listen to yourself. And yeah, I think that's sort of how the team at NodeOps does it anyway, in terms of doing integrations with the teams that we think are doing kick-ass stuff and that would like to be integrated with. One of which, of course, is Superbase that we integrated with last week, and it's a major shift, right? Because right now you're able to, it's a deployment service that's been added on the platform. We now have added database support for Superbase, which is sort of state of the art when it comes to that. And yeah, I would say you can expect more and more content coming also this week and on that specific subject, because it merits a greater level of detail and granular specific details. So yeah, I would say that's where I'm at. I think it's important to keep building. Just do what gets you up in the morning and what excites you. And thank you, Alex. It was a very nice discussion.
Likewise. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, see you next time.
Absolutely. And then one last point, because Fidelia asked something in the comments. I'm sorry that you don't have a stable connection, but don't worry, you can find the stream on our YouTube page. Always, all the previous streams are there. So rest assured, you'll be able to watch through the recording there. So thank you very much. Until next time, everyone.